we can just start at the official start.
Yo, what up, Khal?
Hey, everybody. Yep, people are jumping in.
Ooh, my buddy Vaultek. How you doing, my friend?
Hey there, doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to stay warm. It's been cold as sin here.
Oh yeah,
Oh
as soon as I
yeah,
turn
I
off
think
the heat, it gets cold pretty quick.
it got down to negative 40 wind chill this week, so super cold. So Vaultek, I was going to tell you, I'm going to Las Vegas for WrestleCon again this year. I might have to bring you to play some craps with me again.
Oh really? What time is that at?
It's actually over Easter, so it'll be that Easter weekend, the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th
This month? Yeah.
of April.
Oh, of April. Okay. I can't remember when Easter is. Okay, cool. I'll have to make note of that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. You said 17th to what, 20th?
20th, yeah, that's how long I'll be there.
Okay. I'll make a note here.
Oh, awesome.
All right, so we're about a minute from starting. If anybody wants to share a little bit about their week, feel free to jump in, and we'll get started here in the next minute or two.
Everybody go get a rising club.
You cut out a little bit there. I'm not sure for everybody, but
I didn't have anything on that. That's how powerful that was, those two moves, So that's why, if anybody just dissed me or didn't want to be with me, I mean.
Hot Mike Shadow's on the phone.
Guys,
hey, Alessandra, how you doing?
doing good. Doing really good.
Nice. Where are you at these days?
I'm in Leeds right now. I've been sitting in the same place for 2 whole weeks.
Oh man.
It's just been like
That's a record, isn't it?
It kind of is. It's like this whole thing took off like, I don't know, more than a year ago, and I have never flown so much in my life. But I'm getting better at it, I'm not leaving shit in different cities anymore. My buddy Tib Fox is there. Hey Tib, I swiped when we were in Hamburg for a buzz party. The hotel where we were staying, part of what they had, I didn't steal a towel or anything classless like that. What I stole was they had rubber duckies, and they had like little bitty tiny handkerchiefs that were printed with Max Madison, Hamburg. And I mean, I stole that rubber ducky with that. And I put that rubber ducky in my bath every day. That's the magic. I got to go back to Hamburg and steal another one. And there's the thing that, now, do you know the thing about from where I grew up, Debs all have an affinity for rubber ducks. Is that a thing here, Vaultek? Is that a thing here about the rubber duck?
It is a bit of a programmer thing, yeah. It's called rubber ducking.
Yeah, rubber ducking. There's a Nomad Soul. He and I were talking a little earlier.
Yeah. All right, why don't we get this show on the road? Am I not? Oh, there's hey, Shadows, you're there. I
Yep,
see you
I'm
there
here.
in the audience. Cool. All right. So so why don't we just we'll call this the official start. Welcome everybody. I was expecting a nice turnout today, and it looks like we have it. Really exciting show laid out, and we're gonna get this started. So we are officially the Crypto and Cola show. I am one of your hosts, Buttcoins, and Shadows Pub is my co-host today. Peace and Money is unfortunately not able to make it today due to kind of circumstances behind the scenes that it just doesn't matter at this point. But hopefully we'll have him back with us for next week, and for this week it'll be me and Shadows, and we're going to be trying to run the tightest ship possible. We ask generally for everybody to keep their mics on mute, and if you would like to say something, you can feel free to unmute yourself and chirp in. Especially as we start the beginning, it will be pretty casual. We'll start nice and casual, and then maybe about 20 to 25 minutes in, we will switch to our discussion with Khal and InLeo and their new proposal. So yeah, that is the gist for today. So if everybody can try to mind their mute button, and we'll get started. So Shadows, how's your week been?
Bad, keeping busy, of course.
Yeah, me too. I'm like Hecticsville, but it's good. It's good to be busy. I have this motto in life that well, it's changed a little bit. I used to have what I would call a self-limiting thing where I would be like, oh, I have to give up this in order to have that. And now I'm much more of the mentality that have it all. You can have it all. We as humans are capable of so much more, and that is my current mentality. So no whining out of my part.
That makes sense. No whining is always a good policy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then here we have Hive, and Hive is famously whiny, but it's cool. It's cool. We like get with it. And so typically we touch a little bit into the general market at the start. So Hive has been a little bit on a downswing. Depending on how you look at it, it's possibly your opportunity to snaggle up some cheaper Hive than we saw in the last months. And otherwise it is kind of on the down. And throughout this week, I've thought a few times about a comment that was made last week by Ecoinstant. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. It's Eco here, Eco solver of problems in this chat. And he brought up this stickiness comment last week. And I was thinking about it a bunch this week because we seem to be like dropping and then being a little bit sticky in a spot and then dropping some more. And so my brain was thinking about that stickiness and wondering whether we were going to stick at this 30-ish mark or not. Yeah, anybody have any comments to say in that subject matter? Feel free to jump in.
It seems to be moving up and down a little bit. It's just not moving up much. The good news is it's not moving down a lot either.
What if you had to drop? What if you had to drop Hive down below 10 cents before you could give it any value?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of this might go back to just overall crypto regulation too, because I know Trump and his administration had stated that they want to move forward with regulation. And there's a lot of people that have been waiting for regulation because they know where the lines are on either side then. So I think, kind of a broad take that people are taking just across the crypto spectrum is, well, let's wait and see what's going on with this regulation.
Right. And so would you think like basically the current, what's going on with Hive has almost little to do with Hive and much more to do with the general sentiment of all crypto. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say.
100%. Yeah, I think it has less to do with Hive specifically and more to do with the overall crypto ecosystem. Again, I think a lot of people are just waiting to see what's going on regulation wise one way or the other before, any big moves happen one way or the other.
And Bookerman, because you're here talking, I would ask a question. We were talking about this a little bit in the previous week. Do you have a personal prediction as to when you would see the market reaching 8 all-time highs?
Well, I mean, yeah, so I've been shooting for summer 2025 as a time when I think things are going to kind of really rally and be at kind of a more of a top. Don't quote me on that. I'm no Nostradamus or anything like that, but that's just something I've been looking forward to. Getting through this tax season, I think, especially with a whole new administration and all that, I really have high hopes for summer 2025.
So I've just had a request in the chat to have Addicted come on and give an opinion on Bitcoin and where he thinks it's going. Would you like to chat? If not, you're also welcome not to.
Hello?
Hello. I hear you.
I just showed up. I didn't miss this week. I just got here, so I don't really know what's going on. Just like an
we were
opinion on
talking.
price action.
We started off talking about Hive and it's like kind of going down reality. And Bookerman brought into the equation that it's probably much more to do with the overall sentiment in the larger market of all cryptos and Bitcoin specifically. And then the question I think to you would be like, what are you seeing in the future of Bitcoin? Where would your guess be as to when the all-time high would be coming? Do you expect things to start boiling quicker or slower? Yeah.
Well, the market's already kind of done a thing that we didn't expect. Usually when Bitcoin crabs at all-time highs, we get a crazy alt market. So that didn't happen. It's been more of like a liquidity vortex where all of our liquidity is getting sucked into Bitcoin. We're kind of getting wrecked. So that's like been super obviously demoralizing for everyone. So it's like hard to say, but I do think that summer is going to be good. September is always a really good time to buy, like sell in May and go away. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be selling some in May, like just a little bit in May and a little bit in June, and then rebuying in September. 4-year cycle guys, which are the most accurate, they're basically just wait until the end of the year and see where it is. November has always been like an amazing pinnacle. It's always like a top or a bottom in November. Like FTX collapsed in November. The peak of the 2021 cycle was November. A lot of stuff happens in November.
Yeah, so last week we were talking a little bit about this, like looking at the history of the other all-time highs, and they generally happen between 14 months and 18 months of the halving, and so that would place us somewhere. I believe it's somewhere June to October would be that range. And then last week there was some comments saying that people believed that the market was moving like quicker and that they believed that we would see more all-time highs, possibly more in the March, and then maybe a retesting again in that summer. But then similar to how last one, we had the last bull cycle, we had the two peaks that were very close to each other with like 3 months, I think, in between. So there was basically this prediction that probably the market would follow something like sometime March, late March, April. There would be like a new all-time high jumping up, and that sometime over the summer it would try to reach there again, and whether it did it or not would be the question. That was a little bit of the chat from last week. I don't know if that sounds even feasible to you, or you doubt that.
It's feasible, but it's also really significantly likely that we do a 30% retracement here to like 80K, and I think alts would probably get pretty wrecked by that. Yeah, it's obviously it's hard to say, but I'm kind of scatterbrained and thinking a lot of things at once right now.
Yeah.
Well, something we've never really noticed before, or never really had, is and this came before the halvening, where the ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs came out, and we saw quite a big pump that came from that. So that's like a whole new variable that's never been thrown into the equation before. So it's kind of interesting to see how this cycle is different from many of the previous cycles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, 100K, like crabbing at 100K and not getting an alt market is crazy. Everyone's for the last 5 years, we've all been waiting for 100K. People have been memeing 100K, like laser eyes till 100K and all that stuff. And I think what happened was, we got here. People have been waiting for so long that they're like, I have to sell here. Like I have to. I've been waiting for 100K for 5 years. So like people have to sell here, and that's like kind of creating this liquidity vortex where everyone's kind of like, oh my god, is this the top? Oh my god, is it over? And like people are freaking out, and like obviously it's not the top. People are freaking out. Like it's the top when everyone feels invincible. So a term that I haven't heard in a long time is diamond hands. Remember when diamond hands used to be a thing? Like
yeah.
no one says that anymore. No one says that anymore. Everyone's like, meme coins are so stupid. That the vibe right now is like either you made a bunch of money on meme coins, or you're like, meme coins are the dumbest thing ever. And I'm like one of the people who's like, meme coins are the stupidest thing ever, and I'm just like, I want them to go away. And a lot of them are down 90% right now, which is good. Gives the rest of the stuff to get some money, but it's just been crazy.
Yeah, that's funny how that one went away. I mean, it's each cycle we just have these certain things, and it's definitely the memes this time. And I also find it to be like so sad that this is the state of where we got to. We went from like we're changing everything and we're gonna make a difference in the world with crypto to like, here, have some fart coin. Like,
yeah, the I was going to write a post about this today. Like meme coins look super random, but they're actually not random. They're like a combination of every single technology we've created in every single cycle. Like a meme coin is like an ICO from the 2016 cycle, and it uses all the decentralized finance tech, the AMM, the automated market making stuff, uses all that stuff from 2020, and now these meme coins are like, okay, well, everything's vaporware anyway. Like all that stuff in 2020 and 2016 was vaporware. So why don't we just lean into the vaporware and create this asset that's not being vampire attacked by a dev team who's not going to offer a product anyway? So I think what we're getting this cycle is potentially fair launches, even though a lot of these meme coins are not fair launches. And like Trump coin, the guy owns like 80%. People are pre-mining a lot, but you don't have to pre-mine a lot. So I think there's like an option to use all the technologies we've invented and like kind of put them into a new thing. And like with evolution, like the evolution is painful, right? You got to fail like 1,000,000 times to get the one thing. It's not like Spider-Man where you get bitten by a radioactive spider and you get superpowers. If you get bitten by the spider, you're going to die like 1,000,000 times, before something amazing happens.
Well, I go to this weekly crypto meetup here in the village where I'm at, and there's one guy there who's huge into the memes, and he went all in, and he's tapped into paying attention to all these things, and his argument is that actually at least their meme coins aren't trying, like before in the past cycles it was vaporware and people were selling a concept but like very fraudulently, and that actually meme coins, there's kind of a more of a truth in this, and that what you really are seeing with meme coins that are doing well, it's saying much more about the community behind them, and that it's kind of like a voice of a community, and it won't do good unless it does all of the pieces to create that community. And that's really what makes a meme coin successful or not successful. This is kind of some of the arguments of this guy. He readily admits there's no real use case beyond.
I'm going to say that's true if they survive a bear market and they're still around. I think a lot of these meme coins are going to be like crash to zero. Everyone's like, I'm done. I'm never coming back. Like, I don't think a lot of these communities are going to survive.
For sure. Maybe a few of them. Yeah, he was big on the Trump coin, that would be a barometer specifically of the support of his presidency. He was just like, that's going to be like, you will vote via his meme coin of how good he's doing.
The most delusional kind of cultish community I see is surprisingly one called SPX 6900. Don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
But if you type it into Twitter, it's just like everyone's just like, believe in something and don't trade and just stack this coin, and like it's actually crashed less than all the other meme coins. Some of the meme coins are down like 90% right now, but that one is like, I don't know, 60% down. I'm like, oh, win zero, guys, because obviously I'm not rooting for these things. But I don't know. I don't like to root for people's failure. That's not really what crypto is about. But it's very demoralizing when you're like been doing, trying to build value and utility in the space, and then it's just like, no, we're doing memes now.
For sure. I mean, and anybody can answer this, or anybody can comment on this, but the something that I actually was thinking about when that guy was making those comments about community, I was like, why does Hive has one of the look, everybody's not, and people are in different places, but there's a pretty passionate community around Hive. A lot of people, the people that are into it tend to be really into it and are like, they really want it. Like I'm one of those people, and there's a good handful of people like me, and we're passionate about Hive. And I'm just like, why are we not able to leverage our community in with Hive? Like what I can't put my finger on, like what holds us back, that we've got all of these pieces and we have the community already, and we've had it for years, and we have way more tools and way more utility than so much of the bullshit out there. Why does Hive not thrive? Somebody explain that to me.
So I wouldn't agree that Hive's not thriving. I don't know. I see Hive more like, so when you look at Litecoin, for example, in any of the bull markets, Litecoin usually doesn't go crazy like a lot of the other altcoins and stuff like that. It usually, I mean, you'll get pumps and stuff like that, but it's way more level-headed, and it's because I feel like the community that has been built around Litecoin are much more rational than some of the gamblers and other communities, and I feel like Hive kind of falls in that. And I agree what you're saying with like how the community's there. I mean, just look at a Hive convention that, like, for example, Breathe in Las Vegas. I know Khal was there, Vaultec was there, many of us was there, and it's seeing that these conventions are being put on by the community coming together. And I love how Hive is very punk rock. And I think with that, we don't get a ton of the spikes. I don't think that the value's not there, for example. I think it's just way more level than some of these other places where people just kind of go wild. And I don't think when it goes wild, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, because you'll get the high euphoria with the insurmountable doom. And that's what sends coins like way high and then sends them back down to zero. If we have the elation of the bliss, we're going to get the insurmountable doom, which is going to just crush the token price. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, the volatility is a huge problem. Like when people buy the top and then lose 90% of their money or more, it's just like, oh, well, we just lost all those people. They're not coming back. It's really bad for user retention, the volatility.
And so, you know, I agree. Like there is this reality with Hive. You know, I do think it thrives in its own way. So I can agree with that. Let me like rephrase this or redirect this comment or this thought process and ask: is there a magic number of active Hive users in a, like, say, a given month? Is there a magic amount of active Hive users that would allow Hive to always survive, and no matter what happens around Hive, it's just going to make it? Is there a number that we should have, say 20,000 or 30,000 active users, and then we can internally cycle between ourselves and we don't even need to care about the rest of the world? Or is that number fictitious? We always have to be growing in order to survive. I know it's a wide question, but if anybody wants to try to take it, I'd love to hear.
You always need to be growing for the simple fact there's always going to be churn on active users. So there's always going to be some dropping off. You need people coming on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, people just over time become inactive just because of where their passions lie. I mean, people literally die off. So you always need to bring new, fresh faces in. And again, I think it goes back to onboarding communities that create their own communities, like Wrestling Organization Online, and us growing our Discord, for example. It might not right away translate to new Hive users, but over time, as this is our game plan. For example, we just released a video that was on Maven Huffman's channel. It's been up for 5 days and there's 996,000 views on the video. And I talked to Maven today, and it's his fastest growing YouTube video that he has. He has 560,000 subs and 94 million video views, and he wants to do a lot more videos with our wrestling partners. And we've seen people come into the Discord, and what I keep telling people is the people coming into the Discord, that's the easy onboard into the community. And then as they hang out in our Discord and meet people and become more familiar and more acquainted with people in the community, then they might buy some physical merchandise. And then from there, now we onboard them onto the game, and from there we get them on Hive. It's a slower process, at least for us, to get people onto Hive, because there's quite a few hoops you got to jump through, especially if you've never been on the blockchain and stuff like that. But Hive does have a very good because it has to do with social media, it has to do with blog posts. I've talked to people about it. I just was a guest lecturer at a college in an economics class, and I was talking to them about Hive and the value on Hive and creating Web3 social media, and it was really cool to see people light up when they heard that, because most people see crypto or whatever, oh, that's a scam. They see NFTs like, oh, those are just stupid monkey pictures.
But when you actually explain to them, like, no, like, think about Reddit, but you can write about the things you love and you can start earning. And that's how new tokens are introduced in the ecosystem. And you can see the light bulb turn on for them. So I think it's a slower process, but it's a lot going to be the communities within Hive creating their own communities.
Nice. That's good response. So listen, folks, we are at this point. We've got about 30 to 35 minutes left in the show. And we do have a guest for today scheduled. Khal from Leo Finance is going to be here, and he's going to be discussing his proposal or the proposal of Leo Finance to get funding from the DHF. And we're going to go through some questions back and forth with him. We're asking everyone to put their mics on mute and at least let us have a bit of a conversation first, and then we will open up to questions from everybody. I think from this point forward, if you could raise a hand or say something in the voice general, Shadows Pub is going to be eyeballing that, and we'll, as we get to that question point, we'll allow people to come in and ask questions. The main key here that I'd like to just say is the point is civility and respect, and we're trying to move forward with Hive in general. So we're just trying to have a healthy, positive debate, but that doesn't mean we can't ask hard-hitting questions. So Khal, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I got
Yep.
you. I got you here. So if Shadows Pub is going to be our mute mistress. So if everybody can throw themselves onto mute, and we'll be here. And obviously, Shadows, feel free to pipe in whenever if you have something to say.
I will ask people if they would like a turn asking a question. Drop a thumbs up emoji into the text channel. If you want to ask a question in text, I'll watch for it and I will bring it up when I get an opportunity. So you get both options.
Great, perfect. So welcome, Khal. How are you doing? How's your week?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My week's been great. Obviously been super busy. I see Joel's in the audience here. His username's the Desert Lynx, but he and I actually just did a podcast for I think like 2 hours. So if my voice is a little raspy, it's because we were just going back and forth on X Spaces just before this.
Nice. Well, welcome to the chat, Joel. Good to have you here. We've got a sweet little audience, and glad to have you here to discuss this. How about we just dive right into it? So my thought process is to first give you somewhere in the vein of about 3 minutes to give your best pitch. Explain to Hive and us in this chat why the DHF should be giving funding to a private app within our ecosystem. Give us your best pitch as to why we should be doing this.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for giving me the platform to talk. I know that on Hive it can be interesting times, but I always love having discussions. And one thing I've always valued about Hive is that we have differing opinions. I think it's a indicator of having a decentralized, healthy chain, that we all can have this collective vision towards what the future should look like, but we may not have the same idea of how to get there. And I think that that's okay, and it's a good thing in general. So, with that in mind, I've been a very big proponent that the way that Hive is going to be massively adopted in the broad, crypto space and beyond is actually going to be by private businesses and private apps and entrepreneurs who come to this blockchain and want to build something, that's successful and that is pushed out into the world and gains adoption. And if you look at things like the internet, I think it's a really good, it's a really good contrast point, which is that, the internet grew because there were great applications built on it that, some were public and some were not. Many were private and closed source. And I think that's, having that mixture of things is a really good thing. So, people didn't just come to the internet and start using it because, hey, I want to use this thing called the internet because it's cool and I've heard it's cool and whatever. They may have heard about it. They came to the internet and started using it because there was some specific app that stuck out to them, or that their community, in terms of the people that they were, interacting with on a regular basis, whether it was, locally or otherwise, or within their. Oh, I saw someone say dead air.
It's okay,
You
we
can
can
still
hear
hear
you.
me, right? Oh, okay, good. So, whether they use it locally in their community or otherwise, there's some app that kind of drew them in. And I think for a lot of people, that was something like email, and then, various other, kind of apps that rolled out over time. So, I've been a big proponent of that, and I think that's how Hive grows in the future, is um, getting all these different businesses to join the blockchain and build and develop here, because it's a prosperous, abundant place to do so. There's really great technology here, and I know that all of us in this audience don't need to hear that, because we all know it as a fact that the technology on Hive is still unparalleled in the space, when it comes to having scalable social technologies with fast and free transactions. And coming from someone who I've obviously spent a lot of time in the cross chain space as well. I've seen a lot of different blockchains. I've seen under the hood of them and how they work, and the gas fees behind how it all works. And Hive still remains unparalleled in that sense. That being said, I think that Hive has a really unique opportunity to become this kind of middleware blockchain that connects all these other blockchains. And I think that this is something that other people have talked about as well in the past, and I'll definitely echo on that, which is that being that Hive has fast, free, and scalable transactions, and has this ability to really drive mass adoption with your average person, recognizable usernames and all the different amazing aspects of Hive. I think that connecting Hive to other blockchains is the key to growing this ecosystem. And what we've seen, over the last kind of decade with Hive and obviously the legacy chain, it is a lack of adoption over time. It's a lack of new users. I think it was Shadows that said, it's a lack of having enough new users coming in that you can beat the churn, because there's always going to be churn. There's churn on any social media platform. There's churn on really any technology of any kind. So if Hive wants to, sorry, did I cut you off?
No, I was just gonna come in, and I was gonna say we've kind of crossed into over 3 minutes, and so I just want to refocus you. I agree with a lot of the concepts you're saying. I want to say, take another minute and give us the elevator pitch of why Hivians should vote for your DHF proposal to fund a private app on our chain.
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, I think Hive has the potential to be this middleware technology that connects all these other chains. What, InLeo has done is build out this tech stack, through LeoDex as the back end and InLeo as the front end, that allows other chains to connect to Hive seamlessly. And you see Joel in the audience from Dash. They've managed to do that with us. And we've spent our own funds to build this technology. So while InLeo is a private app and private business built on the Hive blockchain, we have this technology that can connect us to all these different chains. So the proposal is actually specifically for marketing and connecting with people like Joel and Dash, and essentially connecting Hive to this world of cross chain. There's blockchains and people out there that we've talked to, like Solana, Chainflip, Chainlink, Arbitrum, where InLeo already has a presence on Arbitrum as well. And our goal is, if our proposal is funded, we're going to connect to 10 of these different blockchains, and we're going to onboard them all to Hive the same way we did with Dash.
Cool. So what I'm hearing is that it's because you're doing something bigger than just being an app serving the people, but that you're actually expanding to other chains, and for that, that's above and beyond what it means to just be an app here on Hive, but because you're looking for extra help because you believe you're bringing in more potential users and more interoperability between our chain and other chains. Am I hearing that correct?
Yeah, you're correct. And it's like I said, the money that we're asking for is not to develop our technology. We've self-fund that, and we've always bootstrapped, our dev team and the ability to build out all this different technology. What we're asking for here is essentially the expansion, the money that is needed to expand what we're doing and take it to these big ecosystems that are worth, like for example with Solana, they're worth $100 billion. So, having a marketing budget of some kind that we can take with these partnerships, kind of like what we did with Dash, where we ran, X ads and other campaigns in order to, because you can't just build it and expect that people will come. We've seen that doesn't work. So what we're asking for here is, we've built it, and now we need the marketing funds to make sure that they come. And I saw Addicted said in the chat, the only reason to fund any proposal is that we hope it brings more value than it costs. And I 100% agree with that. So if you think that the technology we've already built can be used and expanded, and put in front of the right people, do you think that the DHF spending, I think it's about $220,000 right now over the course of 2025, do you think that investment of $220,000 can bring more users and investors and capital to the Hive ecosystem than we're spending if we do successfully partner with 10 of these ecosystems?
So I'd like to even just kind of clarify or even understand a little bit better myself. So when I hear what you're saying, it almost sounds like this should be something through the value plan, because the value plan is supposed to specifically be about marketing and going outward. Maybe I'm unclear as to the exact use case of the DHF, but why isn't this something that should be sub-funded through the value plan, which is currently having its own debates and lots of controversies about its use of funds? It just feels a little bit like maybe this is about marketing and more about that, and maybe should be a grant out of, or not grant, but however you word it, funding out of the value plan.
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I've seen a lot of. In my opinion, and I think a lot of people will echo on this, InLeo and the Hive ecosystem and ecosystems like Dash, we're all pushing forward for this idea of decentralization, right? And Hive is meant to be a decentralized chain, which is, a part of decentralization means that it's a meritocracy. And I think it's a great thing to have multiple DHF proposals for all sorts of things. And the community comes together and they decide what is good and what is not good for the chain. Again, as Addicted had said in chat, the DHF should be looked at as essentially investing in proposals. So, is a proposal worth the money it's asking for? Is it bringing more value into the chain than what it's asking for? And I think if a project like InLeo can make a compelling argument that, the DHF should take the risk of investing in us because we can bring more value than what we're asking for, that's something that, the community should decide if it wants to do. And I have nothing against Value Plan. I wish, them and all the different initiatives, underneath Value Plan, all the success in the world. That being said, I don't think that all the chain growth and marketing should be centralized under one project and one form of leadership. I think it's great to have, if we're gonna, if we're pushing forward the ideals of decentralization as a chain, then why should marketing that chain, why should marketing the growth of it be any different? I think it should be, it should be a multitude of projects aiming to get funding for all sorts of different things, which we see in some capacity now. And I don't really look at our proposal as a marketing proposal. I look at it as a proposal for these collaborations and giving us the funding, essentially the gas we need to go out to these ecosystems like Solana, like Litecoin, and like we did with Dash, and say, hey, like, we've got a marketing budget, we've got the technology. You guys are looking for a social media platform, and we can be your social media platform. And we did that with Dash. It's been incredibly successful so far. And it hasn't even been 3 months yet. And I just think that bringing that to many other chains is a great thing. And I personally don't think that it would happen as a subset of a central value plan kind of initiative that has many other things underneath it.
Okay. So what I just heard was, go ahead, Shadows.
Go ahead and summarize, and then I'll speak. But
so what I just heard was that you actually think that DHF is the more appropriate location, mainly to have like, in essence, more decentralization and not be under the just one centralized value plan source for like moving towards expansion of Hive. And what you're after is a little bit of autonomy to go at this expansion in your own way, in Leo Finance's way.
Yeah, with InLeo, it's that I believe that Hive is a meritocracy, and InLeo, like, we're here today, on this platform to, talk to some people that perhaps don't believe in some of the things I've been talking about. And I think that that's a great thing. And that honestly wouldn't happen if we were underneath Value Plan. It would be, more of a central backroom talk, way of going about things, as opposed to a community-wide public discussion, which clearly, this proposal has gotten a lot of attention in the public eye of Hive, and I think that that's a great thing. I think it's really amazing that we get to talk in public, and we get to see the different viewpoints and answer those questions, and honestly answer those hard questions that will eventually come out. I think it's a great thing to push that to the DHF, which is public and which is a meritocracy, because if you can't get the votes, then you don't get the funding.
Great. Shadows, do you want to jump in now?
Yeah, there's been a few questions in the chat that I've scooped. Ed, aloha, Ed. You asked the first ones. Do you want to do it, ask directly, or would you like me to read it out? Edwin?
Read it out loud.
Read it out. Read it out. Okay.
Let's take one question, and then I want to push into another direction as well. So let's take one audience question, and then we'll continue.
But there's actually 3 people that have asked questions, and I'm kind of conscious of the time.
Okay, cool. So yeah, well, definitely ask a question.
Okay. So this is from Ed. In general, for proposals, is there a ratio of onboarded users that you find acceptable per unit of HBD or Hive expending for marketing proposals? And if the DHF expands 1,000 HBD, for instance, how many new active users would you expect Hive to gain?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would bring into focus, customer acquisition cost, which is pretty frequently used for measuring things like this. So we need to ask ourselves, what is a user worth to Hive? There's many different ways you could look at that. I think one way that a lot of crypto projects value it is users divided by market cap. That's obviously just kind of the big numbers that you can use. So you could kind of back your way into a number doing that, and assuming the value of a hardcore user. What is the value of a hardcore user for a blockchain, which is obviously exponentially higher than any Web 2 platform. So one customer acquisition cost figure, which is shortened to CAC, is $30 per user, and you can kind of throw out any number you want, but I think that a $30, CAC is extremely achievable. It's relatively good. It's like when you look relatively to other ecosystems and platforms. But what you really need to look at is how you're retaining those users, because you can onboard, 20,000 new accounts. The question is, well, first of all, how many of those are humans? And second of all, how long are they going to stick around for? As you said, there are many there are many different ways that users turn in and out. So really what you need to look at is over a long period of time, how many users can you onboard and how many people can you retain?
Great. So, this is another question in the chat, which I'll just tie right along with my question. So let's jump into the controversy. Let's just jump
Hold
into.
on. What?
Yep, go.
There's one other question before we get to Marky's.
Okay.
And Quasum has asked, so what's the difference between onboarding with or without InLeo? Ain't we all joined Hive without any InLeo marketing? I'm not exactly sure the point of that question, but I asked it verbatim.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think a lot of us have been on Hive for a long time. I'd say the majority of us are not new new users by any sense of the word, and Hive is very far from mainstream. So I think that if we want to see new users and new investors, new traders, and new capital, you're going to need to find new ways to bring people in. And to be frank, I don't think that marketing Hive to people is a great way to onboard them to Hive. I think, like I said earlier, the internet grew because people marketed features and apps of the internet, like email. So I personally am a believer that using an app like InLeo, which by the way has a very understandable user experience, if you look at it side by side with something like X, it's almost identical. But the key difference is that everything done on InLeo is data that's pushed to Hive. So all the posts are published to Hive, all the upvotes are done on Hive, all the content is on Hive, and your account, of course, is on Hive. But the key is any user that comes from X takes one look at InLeo, and they immediately see a user experience that they understand and can easily jump into.
Okay.
Take it away, Butt.
All right. So let's get into the juicy bit. So here we are, and you're painting a picture. It's a compelling picture. Now, I've read through Azikran's posts. I've read Marky Mark's posts, and Marky is here with us, and he's asked a question about the 13,614 monthly active users. I want to just kind of like make it a touch broader, and like, what do you say to, like, look, the information presented by both of these guys is compelling. And there is talk of spin and talk of using numbers to metrics to your advantage based on your desires and your desires to paint a good picture for InLeo, for Leo Finance, and I'm sure that maybe the same thing could be said from the other side, in that they're painting their picture with the metrics from their side. My question, I guess, is in that, and thinking about all of that, like, is it not better to paint a picture with accuracy? If there is not really 13,614 active users, and that a lot of those are bots, isn't it better to just be real about that? Isn't it better to be honest and say, you know what, we only actually have 1,500, and then 1,200 of these are bots, but it is an improvement from before. This is where I'm at in my opening into this juicy bit, and you can have your response there.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good question, and one that people should look into. And I would highly recommend that if you are looking into it, you pull your own data and don't just look at what people say, whether it's me, Marky, or Zircon. I think that if you really want to have a good look at things, you have to look at the data yourself. Because at the end of the day, whether they're presenting the data or I'm presenting the data, everyone has their own bias and everyone has their own agenda. So I would highly recommend pulling the data for yourself and looking at it. And there's also plenty of third parties like Dolls and Hive Trending that have pulled data as well. So, and in response directly to the 13,000 users, there's many things that we could unpack related to that. Users do not equal blog posters, is what I would say. In response to that, a user is someone who uses the platform, and if you look at traditional social media platforms, well over 90% of the users on those platforms don't actually create any content, and they are active on the platform in many different capacities, but they may not be creating blog posts or long form 1,000 word posts. So I've been a long-term believer in onboarding more users to Hive as being just as important as onboarding more creators. I would say probably everyone in this audience or close to everyone in this audience creates content on Hive regularly. Hive is a very unique place in that the majority of us create content on a regular basis. But does that mean that we only need people who come to Hive and create content? In my opinion, what we need to, coming to Hive is a mixture of creators and users in general, curators and people who are reading content and otherwise engaging with content, as opposed to just people writing content. Because at the end of the day, if everyone is a writer, I don't think that Hive succeeds in the long run. I think you need a mixture of writers, readers, commenters, investors, etc. So, the data as I presented it is as monthly active users. And, to me, that's more important than monthly active bloggers.
Well, we do have a range of apps that is available on the Hive platform. So you're right. They don't have to be bloggers. They don't even have to be short content posters. You've got game players. You've got people that come to take a look at some of the content that is there. You've got other apps that are being used for other purposes. So I agree with you on that. They do not all have to be content creators.
Yeah, and personally, I would love to see more investors, more people that may just own Hive. And obviously that's a hard metric to track, especially if they buy it on centralized exchanges. But I think as decentralized exchanges and more decentralized ways of owning Hive come up, we're going to start to see a lot more accounts that actually just buy Hive and hold it. And I think that that's a great thing. A lot of other chains measure their monthly active users as actually monthly active wallets. So I would just like to see more monthly active users on Hive, in all capacities. I think that Hive is honestly at such a point right now where any user we can add that has any kind of makeup is going to be valuable for the chain.
And just for the sake of asking it, would you say that any of the information that you've put out has had a spin? Like, have you spun it to the best of your nature? Maybe this is like a biased question in the sense that of course you're going to spin it in your direction, but do you recognize that people are thinking that it has spin in it and that it's not accurate and truthful because of, say, AI bots and because of some of the factors that we dealt with? Do you have anything specific to say in terms of that?
Yeah, I would obviously say that, I'm not spinning data. I'm presenting data the way I've always presented it. And obviously the more recent arguments are because the DHF proposal came out, and that's obviously going to be a very easy point for people to attack. And like I said, before, I think if you really want to have a good handle on things, pulling your own data is the only way to see, the truth. And it's which truth do you want to see at the end of the day? Do you want to see that more users come to Hive, or are you specifically only looking for more bloggers? So again, pulling the data on chain is really the only way to capture different sides of the story. And I would just like to see a lot more, users and investors. That's something I've been heavily focused on. And you brought it up again with the AI stuff, and I realized in my last answer I didn't specifically talk about it. With InLeo's data, we actually do remove AI accounts and automated accounts. So any account that we recognize as AI or automated is removed from our data. So whatever spike people are attributing to AI accounts, which was a broader kind of attack on Hive sign-up processes. It wasn't just InLeo, it was really all the sign-up avenues for people on Hive. We removed that from the data, so it's not even a relevant point, really to the conversation, because we're not using AI in any form to increase our numbers or increase our side of the story. And when AI is recognized, it just gets removed from the data. It's really that simple. And will you be able to remove 100% of AI from the data? Probably not. I would say if anyone's claiming that they can remove 100% for sure all the AI from their data, they're probably lying to you, especially with how AI has progressed in the last few years and continues to. I mean, it's scary how human an account can look. But there are certain filters that I've been able to develop with my team in order to filter out those people. A lot of different things like time to action. Like you'll notice that an AI kind of has unnatural time to action. For example, being able to sign up and make a comment, within like 20 seconds, a comment that's like 400 words. That is a unnatural time to action. So we are able to, filter that out. And I think we just need to get better about filtering that out in the long run. And that's always going to be something that I do.
Well, great.
What's going on with Leo token? I'm
Yeah,
not sure what that question's about.
I'm not sure. I guess it can mean a couple different things. I would assume it's about the price, just being that that's what everyone loves to ask is, like when token go up. I mean, the altcoin market has gotten beaten and battered. But yeah, we still continue to churn forward and push out tech that's aimed at really driving value. And this actually goes to a broader point that I have. Oh, I see. He clarified. What is Leo's tokens focus on current efforts? So yeah, a big focus of mine, and this goes to how do we add value to Hive's market cap? So again, like Addicted asked that really good question, which is that every DHF project should be looked at as, okay, I'm, the DHF, by voting this proposal, I'm saying that the Hive blockchain should should support this specific project because it can bring in more value than it's asking for. And there's two key ways that I look at bringing value into Hive. One is through actual investors. So that's like getting people from the outside to get interested in Hive as a technology and as a cryptocurrency, like as an investment in this blockchain and this economy and its future growth. The second piece is capturing value from external economies. So when you look at any country that's out there in the world, the way that they generate value is by exporting products and services to other countries and bringing money back as value to their shores. I don't look at Hive as any different. It's an economy, and it's something that we need to look at as one where can we export products and services and bring value from other economies back to our own. So this has been something I've been extremely focused on, which is why it's closely tied to the question about the Leo token, because we've been able to get Leo listed on cross-chain DEX protocols. And since Leo is also listed on Hive as a pair asset with Hive, we're able to create aggregation technology that allows people to swap and exchange assets across blockchains, including Hive. So one of the ways we're capturing value is by allowing people to swap and then bringing swap fees back to Hive. Or another example being that there's an InLeo premium that you can pay for. It's $10 a month. And we only accept HBD as the settlement currency. But we've built something called Leo Merchants where you can pay in Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, whatever, and it immediately swaps those for HBD on the back end. So every payment is settled in HBD. So these are different methods of, again, not only bringing investors to Hive, but also bringing captured value from other economies.
So Addicted has asked how much of Leo's liquidity is tethered to Hive versus Khal, CACAL.
Cacao, yeah. I think it's actually, I want to say it's about 25% more in the Leo Hive pool versus the Leo Cacao pool.
And Fish has asked, the previous proposal aimed on content creators, not consumers, though. The new one does not then?
The previous proposal aimed at onboarding active users, and the current proposal is for getting 10 ecosystems like Dash onboarded. That's going to be our real KPI. And that, that's something that I revised. So we actually had, our first proposal go out. And then it was something I discussed with a lot of different, Hive stakeholders and people on chain, whether, they're highly influential and hold millions of Hive or, just your average Hiver and Leo user. So we have that second post, which is the one that's actually tied to the, so if you go to the proposal, it's number 332, you'll read that post and you'll see that it's actually a revision of the original post. Where I saw that there's been all this debate about what is a user, what is a monthly active user, and what does that actually mean. So I, took that feedback in from the original post, and that's why we revised, the second post to be far more clear about what we're aiming to do, and also remove the user metric as being the KPI for this. And KPI stands for key performance indicator. So we're removing the user part of the KPI, and instead we're focusing on the collaboration. So I would say, we've seen a lot of people, essentially look at these users, and then there's been debate about, who has the accurate data and, who's spinning the story. At the end of the day, I think, anyone can pull the data from the blockchain, anyone can verify whatever they want to verify. But at the end of the day, if we're going to argue over what a user actually means, and I've already said my viewpoint, a user is someone who, comes to this blockchain and, signs up and gets a wallet, maybe they become an investor, maybe they become a blog poster, maybe they become, an active threader, or maybe they just comment on blog posts. Like, there's so many different ways that a user can be measured. So the revision is really to recenter the focus on what we're actually trying to do here, which is get 10 more projects like Dash onboarded to Hive. And Dash is a $300+ million ecosystem, and there's other ones out there like Solana that are $100 billion. And I believe that we can onboard 10 of them in 2025. So I want that to be the focus and the KPI. I want to move away from this, like, everybody's debating over what a user is. Users are going to come in many different forms. So I just want to see these 10 collaborations happen, and there's going to be a lot of value that comes from that.
And that sounds like that elevator pitch that I asked for earlier. That's very clean and clear. And so, yeah, it's a solid proposal, phrasing of the proposal to be like, the goal of this is to bring on 10 new chains to our chain and have an interoperability between them. So yeah, guys, we're already about 5 to 7 minutes over our time. What a show! Thank you so much, Khal, for coming on board. Thank you so much, Shadow Pubs, for being the question queen and making sure we didn't miss anything. And thank you guys all for coming. I really feel like when I look out at this audience, I think this is exactly what we need more of in Hive. More open discussions, more talking, more people turning in and throwing in their questions. So I thank everybody for giving their questions, for coming to join and hear and listen. Hopefully you all have taken something away with you. And we'll see you at the next Crypto and Cola show next week. If anybody wants to say a little final goodbye, Khal, you can go ahead and say your last little adios, and Shadows Pub, feel free to as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for giving me the platform and the space to talk. And I did also love seeing all the questions and different people that showed up. I think it's really again, like I said when I started talking, I love that Hive is a place where we can all gather and have differing point of views, but all at the end of the day want the same outcome, which is for Hive to succeed. So thanks again for having me, and I'll see you guys next time.
I think one of the things I always appreciate about the Hive community is that they're a community and they keep it civil. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah. We were a little worried this could get nasty, and I'm proud of all you Hivians. I'm looking at you, Marky. Good job. All right, we'll see you guys next week for another one.